Hello everyone. This video is the one I made after being more demanding. I forgot to talk about being unapologetic, and it's taking me into, as I was thinking about it, it was taking me into people getting along. Being unapologetic is very much linked intrinsically um, to the collective, because and how the collective relates to each other. Being unapologetic means about who you are, about who I am, means me expressing fully who I am based on how I see myself and how I experience the world, out with um, out with the collective experience. Now, this state of being goes against what we've been taught, that a human being should be, like, like a human being should acquiesce to other people. You should try and get along. But I think the definition we've given getting along is wrong. The definition we've given to getting along is like you should try and settle or compromise on who you are, and the other person should also settle and compromise on who they are, so that you can, like, kind of meet in the middle and understand. Because we think that intrinsically we cannot get along if we think differently. We somehow think that difference is against harmony, you know. And this is why being unapologetic is frowned upon, and individuality and individuation is frowned upon. And yeah, therein the trouble. It's not really trouble. We will evolve past this. It will serve as a platform to which we evolve to individuation, and that has already started in this age of Aquarius. But yeah, the definition of getting along, the definition of getting along, the definition of being a collective is not that people should sacrifice who they are and sacrifice what they believe in as a way, or as the only way to understand somebody else. As a matter of fact, if you sacrifice who you are, you're not going to be able to understand the other person, because you have sacrificed who you are. So therefore, if you're not fully expressed in who you are, and you've not fully allowed yourself to express who you are, then you cannot allow the other person to also fully express who they are. It is only when you fully express who you are and we understand the value of that, that's when I can allow the other person to also fully express who they are, because I understand the value of being fully expressed in my individuality. So therefore, I'm going to understand the value of the other person expressing themselves fully in their own individuality, and that's how we get along. That's how we enjoy different perspectives. That's how we hold. That's how we're able to hold different perspectives as both valuable. And this goes against leadership. It goes against people having leaders. It goes against governments, and that's why it's frowned upon. Because who's gonna lead who? If if I value my individuality and I do things based on my own values, based on my own thoughts, based on my own beliefs, based on my own experience, and you do the same thing, you do things based on your own thoughts, your values, and beliefs, who's going to lead who? No one can lead anyone, because we all have different values. We all have different beliefs about how we engage with the world, and it takes us out of enslavement. It takes us out of the victim consciousness and the human consciousness, where we think we we have to constantly diminish ourselves to get along, where we have to constantly diminish ourselves to build a proper collective. Um, so therefore, our true authenticity is lost, because you can only be authentic when you're fully expressed. I think the reason why I know the reason why this is also part of the game of, being human. We have to diminish ourselves, but the context within which it exists is what I'm trying to. How did a human being think that this can be something, expressing your individuation, or an expressing your individuality can be detrimental to okay. I just heard it's not detrimental. It wasn't detrimental. We needed to do that because we needed to create a structure. We needed to create a frame for human consciousness, to a foundation for human consciousness, and then now we are going to evolve past that. The consciousness we have created, the collective consciousness that we have created, which says that you cannot stand out too much, you cannot be too different, because being too different makes you not get along with other people, and you have to diminish yourself. Well, that's how you diminish yourself. Was a necessary agenda for a collective consciousness, a collective human consciousness to be built. Because we are still babies, we're still really babies in consciousness. So that was the starting point. The starting point is having this consciousness where we think we cannot stand on our own. We have to depend on each other, and that we have to diminish ourselves and each other to get along. All the false things. And then as we become more and more conscious now, well, we're getting to the next level of consciousness now. We understand that, and we experience that it's not working anymore for us, and we are now going to go back to being gods, who are I don't know what's happening here. We're now going to go back to being gods and get back into our individual states of being, and we are going to realize that, and we're going to realize that, and we're going to experience a new way of being, which is a collective way of being while we are different. Okay, I didn't explain that well. We're gonna create a new way of being where we are still going to be a collective, but everybody is different. Everybody is a law unto itself, or a law unto himself or herself. And we are going to live in that paradox where I have different beliefs, different values, and I experience my life differently from you, but I'm still able to coexist with you in this 3D world. And not only be able to coexist with you, I'm going to derive maximum joy from your difference, and you're also going to derive maximum joy from my difference. And I won't have the need for you to change, and you won't have the need for me to change. So being complementary it's complementary in a sense that everybody's going to be different, That's where we're going. That's the next level. And I knew this a long time. I knew this quite a while ago, because when I was doing my videos on Pan-Africanism, it just came to me that Africa is not supposed to be like Europe. Africa is not supposed to be, it's not supposed to look like Europe. You know, we're not supposed to have the same houses, the same cars. We're not supposed to have the same culture, even though that's what we uh, uh, think we need to be. No, Africa is supposed to be different. That's the whole point of being, having a different culture, having a different way of being. That's the whole joy of traveling. That's the whole joy of experiencing something different from you, from yeah, how you are. And I've said this in one of my Pan-African videos, where I said, can you imagine if you know, Africa looked like the UK, or UK, and maybe everywhere else looked like the UK? There's no enjoyment to that. There's no variety. There is no new experiences. There is no new expansion, because we expand quicker when we have different perspectives. When I have a different way of being, then I'm able to see and experience the world differently from you, which means I'm going to discover different things, which means the universe is going to discover different things through me. When you also have a different way of being, the universe is going to discover discover a different perspective through you, which means the universe is going to expand faster. If we all have the same values and all think the same way, all have the same beliefs, then the expansion of the universe is going to take so long. And this is why it takes so long for us to expand, because we don't like change and we don't like difference that much. We kill each other because we're different. We look different. We want everybody to be the same. But also, that was in service of enslavement. It was in service of control. It was in service of the patriarchy. The patriarchy, which is mainly concerned with control and enslavement, and which is a necessary part of the evolution of us as human beings, but also as divine beings. So it's not a bad thing. It's just that that's where we were, and that's where we are. We still are there a little bit. So yeah, the new way of being will be that everyone is going to be different. Everyone is going to have different values. Everyone is going to have a different way of being. Everyone is going to have a different way of making money, a different way of seeing the world. And governments are going to gradually, the role of government is going to gradually be diminished in people's day-to-day lives, because people are not going to be listening to the government. Why would I listen to a government tell me how to live my life if I have my own value? If my values are different from the way the people in the government see it, why would I listen to them? We don't have the same values. We don't have the same beliefs. So, yeah, and we're going to derive joy from that rather than pain and strife and war and wanting people to be the same, because we are not meant to be the same. We are not. We are meant to experience expansion through difference. And the universe is meant to experience expansion through difference. So that's why we all have our unique perspectives. And I've made this video recently, it was last week before last, about your path is singular. I've said this in another video. Your path is singular. Your path is not, it's not the same as somebody else's path. Your path is singular. The way you experience truth, the way you experience the world is based on your own experience and your own way of being. And that's like I said, also it's a challenging place to be, because you have to really stand out. You have to have the courage to stand out. People are going to come after you, and it is what it is. As I get more and more aware of my divine my divinity, I become less concerned with what people are going to say, because it's not, it's the human talking. The human is limited in their understanding and in their capacity to experience the whole. The divine being is more aware of what the whole looks like and what the whole is. And this will lead me into the next topic that I wanted to talk about, which is being in service of negative states. Well, I say negative not because they are negative, but because they are just states that also need to be experienced. And a divine person understands that negative, I call them so-called negative states, are also part of creation. Negative states like hate, death, what else? Jealousy, fear, and all these negative things are also part of creation. It's the human being that doesn't want to see that. The human being that often doesn't have the full view of how these things are necessary in creation, but the divine being does. And I'm going to talk about this in my next video. All right, bye bye.